This episode of Wrestling Winedown is sponsored by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is a ticket app that takes the confusion out of buying tickets. There are so many amazing wrestling shows coming up, and why not get the best bang for your buck? Wrestling Winedown listeners get $20 off their first ticket purchase on SeatGeek by using our code WWDCAST. Again, that's WWDCAST. Now, let's dive into the newest episode of Wrestling Winedown. Cheers! The views and opinions expressed here on Wrestling Winedown are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, employer, or company. What's up, guys? It's Lo, and you are tuned in to Wrestling Winedown, a female-founded and hosted podcast dedicated to professional wrestling and our favorite adult beverage. We are back with another episode of Chardonnay and Chisme, your wrestling girl talk. As always, I am joined by Iridian of the Rest Friends podcast, and we are spilling the wine on all things pro wrestling. In the last edition of Chardonnay and Chisme, we chatted about former AEW star Jade Cargill possibly signing with the WWE, and now it is confirmed that Jade is definitely a part of the company. We've seen Jade at premium live events as well as on weekly WWE programming, but the superstar has not made her in-ring debut in the WWE. We're spilling the wine on which brand we'd love to see Jade Cargill go to, as well as her face-offs with Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch, as well as why WWE's presentation of Jade has been so amazing to watch. WWE and AEW are set to face off once again in a ratings war. WWE SmackDown and AEW Rampage with Collision is set to take place Friday, November 17th. If you'll recall, in the last ratings war, WWE picked up the W against AEW Dynamite. Should we expect WWE to do the same again, or will AEW come out on top? We're sounding off on that, as well as the interesting tweets from AEW CEO Tony Khan after the last ratings war, and if we should anticipate seeing more tweets from him after this face-off. And finally, we're sharing some of the good and bad that we've seen recently in the AEW women's division. On recent AEW television, we've seen Willow, Nightingale, and Skye Blue involved with House of Black's Julia Hart. This has been exciting to watch the growth and progression of these women's careers. On the opposite side of things, we've been keeping an eye on AEW promotional materials, including event posters, and I've noticed the lack of female representation. When I tell you it looks like a bachelorette lineup, it really does. We are spilling the wine as two women who love professional wrestling about AEW's marketing materials and what they could do to rectify this issue. So grab your favorite glass of bubbly. We're going in for the 3 count. We are back with another episode of Chardonnay and Chisme. I am joined as always by Iridian Fierro. Miss Fierro, how are you today?
I am doing splendidly, Lo. How are you today?
You know what? I'm feeling bubbly.
Oh,
Okay, let's talk about this before we even get into the episode. So I am holding Issa Rae's Viarae Prosecco wine. Now, when I tell you I went to 3 Targets to find this, I did. And I was like, I need this in my life. I bought 2 bottles and I've had this one chilled for like the last day. I found it yesterday. I am going to give an in-depth review. I plan on doing like a wine review, maybe on YouTube. I'm going to give like a very minimal here. So this bottle is so pretty. The label is brown and it has the gold on it, which I really like, but the back is cute. It says bright, crisp, and lively. Here's to the dreaming, the leveling up, and the just because. And I was like, that's really sweet. There's 11% alcohol in here. This is obviously a Prosecco, so you can mix it. You can use this for mimosas, which I did today. So this is watermelon juice in here. It's pink, but the background is pink, so it's hard to see. But it's pretty good. So I had it without anything in it, and I had it with. And the thing that I like the most so far, I haven't like gotten into the weeds with it. I've only had a couple sips, but the thing I like about it is there's no aftertaste. There's a lot of wines, Proseccos especially, where you have them with the mimosa, and after it's kind of like almost bitter. And it could be the juice, it could be the wine, it could be the mix of them both. But I feel like this is just so, it's just so good. I'm laughing because I could hear the gulp, but it's good. It's very good. It's $19.99 at Target, which is very affordable. I know these celebrities, they charge a lot for their wine. $19.99 is affordable, and they're selling it at Target. That's what I like. Normal people go to Target. Bougie who like wine go to Total Wine. I go to both. The fact that all I could do, obviously I had to run to 3 Targets, but going to Target is simple. I go to Target anyway. So the fact that I was able to get this, now I have 2 bottles and I plan on enjoying them both responsibly. Just so good. And I love the marketing that they did. The marketing was very nice. And the reason why I love this bottle so much as well, you know what? I said I was giving a full review on YouTube. It sounds like I'm giving a full review here. The logo of it. I feel like the logo is very... The cork just popped off as I held it.
Cheers.
Cheers. So the logo of Viarae looks a lot like Wrestling Winedown. It's very like groovy. I just love it. Good job, Issa. You did a great job.
Lovely. Speaking of Issa, I just bought the Barbie movie.
We bought the Barbie movie. Okay.
So I have the digital version. If you would like it, I will send it over to you.
Oh, wow. That's friendship.
Yeah, the DVD version comes with a digital version. And I have not seen the bloopers yet, but I'm so ready.
Okay, you'll have to update us on the next episode. All right, let's dive right in. There's been a lot of wrestling news happening. We saw that Jade Cargill is now a confirmed member of the WWE roster. The last time we spoke on Chardonnay and Chisme, it was a rumor. Things move fast in the world of wrestling. So we have seen Jade numerous times now. We saw her at Fastlane. We saw her on the subsequent Raw, NXT, SmackDown, and then we just saw her on NXT again at the end of the episode, pointing at her watch, almost like it's almost time for her to, make her presence known in ring. We've seen her approach Becky Lynch. We've seen her approach Charlotte Flair. And I like the Charlotte Flair face off a little bit better than the Becky Lynch. And I know a lot of people noted this on Twitter, but the reason why I liked this so much was because you have 2 tall women facing off. And then you have Triple H. He looks so short compared to them. And I was like, I know that right. Like, these women are squaring off and you have this man in power and he looks short next to them. And that might not be significant for a lot of people, but I liked it. It was a good face-off. Now, the Becky Lynch one, I feel like could have been way better. It just seemed like it wasn't clicking as much. Becky appeared obviously shorter. She is shorter than Jade. I'm sure Jade had on heels as well, but it didn't hit the same way the Charlotte and the Jade face-off hit. Yeah. But girl, Bianca's back. When they face off, my Twitter is going to implode. You hear me? It's going to implode. That will be my wallpaper on everything. Your face looks shocked, but I'm dead ass serious. That is a moment. That is a moment. I said it in the previous episode. We've had Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. We've had that. But if we look deeper at it, and I know I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, and I hate when they say this, and they're like, well, Sasha Banks is light skinned. She doesn't count as black. I hate that. It's the fact that you have 2 brown women together. The Sasha and the Bianca, you can never say that wasn't an iconic moment. It was. I'm not refuting that. But the fact that 2 brown women facing off against each other in the WWE, when was the last time we saw that? That just hits differently. And it's not about, Sasha Banks is a light skin and Jade is brown skin. That's not it. It's the fact that you think about Jazz, you think of Jacqueline, 2 brown skin women who kicked ass in the WWE. We haven't had that type of interaction since then. It's always been, we have 1 black woman in the mix, but she's facing 2 white women, or she's facing a Mexican woman. Like, the fact that you have 2 brown skinned women going up against each other, that's why I said they better not rush it. They better not do it incorrectly. Like, people are going to be mad because this is a cultural shift. I hate when people use that word incorrectly or that phrase, but this right here is a cultural shift. Jade versus Bianca has the potential of being at a WrestleMania, 100%.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on seeing Jade now as a member of the WWE roster, these face-offs that she's had with these different women on the roster? And do you think she's going to the Raw brand as specified on these dirt sheets, or do you think she might go to NXT?
Oh, man, I don't think she's going to go to NXT. Would it help them get viewers? Absolutely. But I think she's main roster ready.
100%.
And Monday Night Raw, probably. But I would really like to see her in SmackDown. I think that would be just a little bit better. But of course, Monday Night Raw gets you most exposure, right? When it comes to Bianca, I don't think that they're going to put her in a feud immediately with her. And I have no problem with that. I don't think that we need to go right away and have the Jade and Bianca feud. I think that when she stood up right in front of Charlotte Flair, that was it. I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte, give me Charlotte first. And yeah, she's also, in front of Becky Lynch. Maybe Bailey will be next. You might see a little bit of what's left of the four horsewomen. And that would be amazing if she faces Charlotte and then faces Becky and then Bailey, the top women in WWE, really. And then the final boss will be Bianca, of course. But man, that would be just really so amazing. And I agree with you. We don't need to rush it. And if it's not ready yet, we don't need it. We really don't need it. So put her
It's
in.
like cookies in the oven. If they aren't done, don't take them out.
They'll take them out.
Take them out.
In there. They're not ready. But yeah, I think Triple H did look a little small next to them. And I absolutely love that. You have two powerful women. And I feel like Charlotte, a lot of people feel what they feel about Charlotte, right? But that woman is such a star. She is one of the most decorated women in WWE. And to have her immediately go against Jade, that doesn't mean nothing. That's a huge deal. So if we get that right off the bat, I would be extremely happy. And though I do want to see Jade on SmackDown, I think she is going to go to Monday Night Raw. But I'm just ready for her to debut because her coming out in these amazing looks, she kills it every single week. When she made her appearance on NXT, going up to Shawn Michaels and saying, "Hey, how are you?" And same thing with Triple H. And when she was in front of Charlotte, Triple H was like, "Oh, this is Jade." Charlotte was like, "I know who you are. You don't need to tell me." You're like, oh my God, she's being built up as such a star, and I absolutely love it.
And I feel like we've never seen this with a woman, specifically a Black woman. I know when they brought Ronda Rousey in, it was a big deal, but it was never like this. And it could be now because we see this merger that they are making it a bigger deal and they realize, AEW is signing people like Adam Copeland. They have, a lot of these superstars that were on the WWE roster before that have now transitioned over to AEW. And now they have this huge star in Cargill, somewhat the second or technically the third wrestler who has jumped over from AEW to WWE. I feel like I'm very proud that they are spotlighting her in this manner because we haven't seen it with the Black woman before. And, she's training, she's still getting better in the ring. And I'm glad that she is. We've seen her at the Performance Center and it just shows that she is serious about her craft. To be completely honest, I think she has what it takes to have that crossover effect that we saw with the Garcia twins or the Bella twins. But Bianca Belair has done a very good job at that as well. But I see Jade also being at that magnitude of being at these award shows, being at these red carpets, being on the daytime TV shows. She just has the total package. And I'm glad that they are portraying her as she is. I'm glad that they didn't change her name. I'm glad that they didn't change the way she dresses. I'm glad that they didn't completely modify who she is. Now, they could make minor changes here and there as she gets moved up to the main roster, but as long as they keep Jade as Jade and they don't change everything and give her a crazy gimmick, I'm here for it. And I hope it continues because this representation is so important. And I talk about representation a lot, but being that when I first started watching wrestling, there was like barely any Black women. And now we have, Jade Cargill in the WWE. We have Bianca Belair. We have Lash Legend. We have Jakara Jackson. We have so many women. Now, am I saying, is it enough? I'm not saying it's enough. But it makes me so happy because it's like you think of the young Black girls or even Black women who are starting to watch wrestling and they see these strong African-American women who are in the ring, who know how to dress, who are on daytime television. And it just shows like representation is so important. We've always seen white men in professional wrestling and we've seen women, but like to see Mexican women, to see Black women, to see women that are not white is what I like to see. I'm not saying I don't enjoy white women wrestling, but there is something that hits different about seeing minorities in the ring. Like representation is so important. And we've talked about it time and time again. You need that because your audience is so diverse. You have people from all over the world watching. They want to see someone that looks like them.
Absolutely. And that definitely means a lot. When Bianca Belair first came out, then she had like hoop earrings on. People were like, oh my God, yeah, like I wear hoop earrings too. Like there's never been, a woman who comes out there in WWE that's wearing hoop earrings with the long hair. Like representation, right? When the Garcia twins first came out, or the Bella twins, you know, they would have the flowers in their hair. And that's a lot of Latina women usually like would do their hairstyles with like flowers. And just like, oh my goodness, that's something that I can connect to. That's something that appearance wise is something that I can relate to. And I feel like Jade is just going to make them so much money. They have to be so smart with her because she, like you said, can do WWE, but also has that power to be like a household name that if you market her right, she can be on these red carpets. She can have these reality shows. She can have these brands and sponsorships with her. And Bianca has just done such an amazing job representing WWE in WWE and outside. And same thing with Jade. And something that I love about her is that she doesn't need WWE, right? She doesn't need the money. And she said that time and time and again, but she loves wrestling, which is just so much more admirable too. Like she loves what she does. And she literally said that, you know, with the money didn't really matter. She just wants to show that she can do it. And she is just going to be so good. And I cannot wait to see her in the ring.
Let's move over to some AEW news. Willow, Nightingale, and Skye Blue, they going through something. Both Willow and Skye have been on the receiving end of the House of Black, Julia Hart's Black Mist. And since then, Willow and Skye have appeared to have darker eye makeup. They're losing a little bit of their enthusiasm in the entrances. They're not as bubbly as they used to be. And I know a certain somebody got on the Fightful Collision post show and said maybe Julia Hart is creating her own group, her own trio of these women. Do we really think that's going to happen? And where does that leave Willow Nightingale? Where does that leave Skye Blue? Like, you think of Willow and you think bubbly, like energetic. And now that this whole thing has happened with Julia, we've seen her kind of tone it down a little bit. She isn't as jumpy in her interests. She's still her, but like she's not as like exuberant. And Skye Blue, girl, complete 180. She is committed to the bit. You hear me? She is here for the plot. And I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. But it's interesting because we haven't seen a women's trio other than the Outcast in AEW so far. And we saw the reaction that the Outcast got. Now, that could be a plethora of reasons. But I do wonder, you know, with the inclusion of this second trio, are they thinking of really focusing on tag team women's wrestling? Is that something that maybe Tony is focusing on? Is that his way of trying to help build the women's division in AEW? Because every single week I see people talking about, Tony, why do you have only one women's match on the card? Why do you have two women's match on a pay-per-view? Tony, this was one the other day that I was like, damn, dragged him. This person said, Tony, you have 36 men on this Collision graphic. There are two women on there. You couldn't have spared a couple of the men. I was like, get them. Now, I'm saying, like, I like AEW, I like WWE, I like wrestling, but like, it is so important. And I know I'm kind of branching off a little bit, but it is so important that you make your opinions known. I agreed with the person. You got all these men in here, it's looking like the Bachelorette on this. Okay. And you got two women. Where are the women? Like, I want to say the only women that were on the poster were Julia Hart. I don't even think Willow was on it. I think it might have been Skye Blue. I don't remember. Might have been Toni Storm. I don't know, but there weren't enough women.
Yeah.
That leads me back to my first question of what we were just first talking about was, do we think that this group is going to start? Is this maybe more of a focus for Tony now? And then I also want to know your thoughts on the Bachelorette poster with all these men on it.
So, all right, to answer that first question, I definitely think that Miss Julia is going to start her own faction. I'm calling it the House of Heart. I don't know if that's what she's calling it, but I think the name is there, right? Julia Hart, House of Heart, makes sense. It's just an extension of the House of Black. Someone said it could be the House of Black Hearts, which I mean, whatever you want to call it, but I think House of Heart sounds better. And Julia would be the leader of this group, followed by Willow and Skye Blue. Now, Skye Blue came out in like some Scooby-Doo gear recently, and I thought it was so beautiful because her gear was giving Mystery Machine. And I don't know if anybody has never not seen Scooby-Doo, but literally they just find the monsters and they solve the mysteries. And right now, Skye Blue is kind of a mystery. We're like, what's happening with her? So that story is just, it's giving everything that I need, right? And Willow, on the other hand, she is there, but not really there. Like she still came out, still danced a little bit, but it was kind of toned down. And
Yeah.
commentary has recently been talking about it like, oh, these girls are not as hyper and as happy as they were before. And if you notice the makeup, so now commentary is alluding to it. So if
Hmm.
you before didn't know what was going on, now you know what's going on because commentary talks about it.
But too, I think what I also like about it is, Julia has been out. She got married to Lee Johnson, and they're on their honeymoon. They're in Bora Bora, which, oh my God,
They're
like
swimming with the fish.
amazing,
Yes.
amazing. But I think they're doing a great job at keeping Julia kind of in the mix when she's away because you have these two. They're mysterious. You're trying to figure out what's wrong with them, but it leads back to Julia Hart at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
Julia doesn't even have to be on TV. My girl is still getting talked about. My spooky queen is still getting talked about, and she is in Bora Bora. I know that's right.
We love that for her. We are
Me
here for it.
too.
This is a Julia Hart stan account. It
It
really
is. But first and foremost, it's a Willow Nightingale stan account. Jesus Christ.
my girl Willow. I
My
swear to God.
heart.
The frustration that I have that right now, it looks like she's headed towards something bigger, right? Which is what we've waited for. Because when she won the Owen Hart tournament, I always talk about this. Like, look at what Ricky's doing, look at what Willow's doing. It's not at the same level. And it should be. It should be. So I'm really hoping that this really just propels her to the top. But next question that you asked was about
The
the
Bachelorette poster,
yes.
which I will insert in here because I feel like, you know what? I do keep an eye on the collision posters. I keep an eye on all the posters actually, because I like how they personalize it. So, if they're in, let's say Austin, Texas, or like New Orleans, they'll put Ricky in the front.
Yeah.
Or if they're in somebody's hometown, they'll put him in the front. But that poster just rubbed me the wrong way. Like it was way too many men in the poster. And then you had the two women on the side.
It's like, the Where's Waldo? But this time it's like, where are the women? And you try to find them on the posters because sometimes you're like, wait. What am I looking at here? Just put the women on the poster. If the women are on the show that night, put them on there. I don't care if it's Tony, but put Lexi on there. Honestly, if she's bad, Dasha too, she's the ring announcer. Put the women on the poster, Tony. That's all we ask.
I'm actually looking this up right now because I want to show you.
Oh, and I know that you had also said, the women's tag division. I don't necessarily think that there will be titles if a women's tag division does show up, simply because I feel like, do you remember that tournament that was happening with the women? And like, it was when Brandy was still there. But at the end of it, we're like, oh, Brandy's going to end up winning with her tag partner. And then at the end of it, she revealed her action figure or something like that. And, oh, yeah, we'll talk about that. But it ended up being like not the most amazing thing. So I feel like if Ty Conti comes back, which she is a mother, she's on her motherhood journey. So who knows what she's going to come back or when she's going to come back. But Anna Jay and her were such a good team together, and I really miss them. And like Penelope and the bunny, come on, like use them. Now you got Willow and Skye Blue, which Julia doesn't need to be part of a tag team. She could literally manage them. She got her manager's license like 4 weeks ago. So she can literally manage them. And there's just a lot of other women who are not being used. Abaddon. So literally, she could also be the fourth member of that group. That would literally be so terrifying. Abaddon, Willow, Skye Blue, and Julia. Scary. Very scary.
So going back to this poster, so there is actually an account on Twitter. It's called AEW Ratio.
Oh, no.
And they go through each and every poster and they will tell you how many women there are to men. There's a combined poster for the Canada shows that are coming up in December. They said 4 women to 33 men on the poster. This is the one that I saw originally. It was, this was for the Wrestle Dream. It had 2 women to 32 men on the poster. There was another one the other day that it had about 2 women to 5,000 men on the poster. But yeah, this person I found it. 2 women to 21 men. And this is the Oakland show. So
they also, I'm on the page right now too. Last night on Collision, the poster was all men, literally. all men. There's not a woman in sight, and that's so sad.
We need to do better with these posters. I mean, if I'm thinking correctly, some of these people that are shown on the Collision poster are not on Collision anymore. They're featured more on Dynamite.
Karen Jarrett isn't even on there. She at least came out.
Jesus.
Like, come on.
We have to do a little bit better with that. Well, actually, not a little. We need to do a lot better with that. But we don't have enough time to edit the posters ourselves. So we're just going to move to the next topic. WWE and AEW are set to go head to head again in this ratings war in November for SmackDown and AEW Collision Rampage. I will be at that AEW Collision and Rampage in LA. It is the night before Full Gear. So as we know, WWE and AEW went head to head on a Tuesday night recently. It was called the Tuesday Night Wars, and we saw WWE pick up the W here. But it also should be noted that WWE brought in a lot of superstars that aren't on the NXT brand. They brought in Asuka, they had John Cena, they had Paul Heyman, The Undertaker, but AEW didn't bring anyone specific in. And there also was a Jade Cargill appearance there as well. But AEW didn't bring in anyone else. And the ratings came back. WWE completely obliterated them. And it made me think about, on this episode of SmackDown in November, which I believe is the weekend after Veterans Day, do we anticipate WWE to bring in their heavy hitters again to get over on this ratings war? Or do you think that they're going to kind of just settle what they have on the SmackDown roster? Maybe they'll have Roman come in. I don't know. Do you think they're going to adjust their mindset on this one, or you think they're going to play it the same way they did before for the NXT ratings war?
I don't think they'll do anything different. You know, the tribal chief is back. I think if they have Roman on the card, Kevin Owens just got, drafted to SmackDown. And if you had an appearance from Jade, like, I don't think, I feel so bad for AEW because Tony Khan was going. He was like,
we will get to that.
He was going, and I don't think that AEW will win this time around either. Last time, have it being NXT, that is technically the third brand on the list, right? It goes Order, Raw, SmackDown, NXT. And by order of AEW, it's technically Dynamite, Collision, and then Rampage. So technically it's SmackDown. It's the second tier going against the third tier of AEW, if we're putting it like that.
Well, technically it's a Rampage and a Collision.
Yeah. So that's not going to help either. Pre-record. Yeah. We'll see what happens with that, but I don't think that SmackDown will need to do anything special to win in the ratings, because I feel like SmackDown is generally is well received as opposed to like Monday Night Raw. I feel like more people watch SmackDown. Yeah.
Looking back at this, we know that once the ratings came out, even before the ratings came out, AEW CEO Tony Khan got on Twitter and he was tweeting a lot that he probably shouldn't have been saying. It seemed like he was angry. It seemed like he was mad, and it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I don't think I saw anyone that was in support of his tweets. Like, people were telling him to shut up. And I feel like that brings along a bigger discussion of, when do you stop? We know that Triple H, we know Vince McMahon when he was in charge, yuck. We know that they don't run their own social media account. They have somebody who is on their public relations staff, whether it's the director, whether it's the manager, whoever will go in, put up a tweet that has probably been looked at by 25 people on the staff, and they post it. Tony Khan, the only eyes that see his tweets might be him. His eyes might be closed while he's tweeting. I'm not fully sure. But with those tweets being put out and the reception, it made me wonder, like, what is AEW going to do differently in this ratings war? Like, will we see Tony again get on Twitter and complain, get upset, etc.? Or is he just going to put the phone down, maybe take a walk, maybe just enjoy life? I think for me, it's kind of difficult to watch being like a PR professional when he does stuff like this, because I'm like, oh my God, get a PR staff, get a PR director, someone to run your social media. And I kind of understand why he does kind of add that aspect of himself into the professional wrestling world, is because it shows that he's accessible. You can tweet him, he might tweet you back, but like, do we really need that access with a professional wrestling company CEO? Do we? I don't think we do. Like when I first got on Twitter and was in the professional wrestling space, I never heard anyone that was like, I just wish Triple H would tweet. For what? What the is he gonna tweet? Time to play the game every 3 months? What?
It gets old quick, right?
Yes.
That gets old quick. And it is so hard to watch as people who know about PR, right? Like courses, and it's like 101 what not to do. And Tony Khan is out here doing it. Like
I feel like you also can't hold your talent to a certain standard of how to use their social media if you're reckless as well. Because I see some talent, they say some crazy online. Like I see people calling fans bitches. I see people roasting fans, all types of stuff. But like, can you really put your foot down as a CEO and tell your talent, hey, don't tweet like that when you're over here bantering with fans yourself?
Yeah. And I love Tony Khan, right? Tony Khan has done so much for the business. And it's just sometimes you don't make the best choices on social media, Tony. Just put the phone down. Honestly, it doesn't hurt to even write the tweet out and then delete it. Like just write it out and then hit the back.
Put it in the drafts if you have to. I mean, sometimes you like to post stuff and you go back, you read it when you're in a different mindset. Might make you laugh, might make you sad, might make you angry. But at the end of the day, you didn't post it. And I do wonder, like, do other fans get a sour taste in their mouth when they see the way that he tweets? Like, does it make them want to tune into the programming, or does it push them further away from even exploring AEW?
That's interesting. I didn't think of it like that. I want to say no, because like, even if, could you imagine if Vince McMahon was actually tweeting as like his own thoughts, and like everything now that we know about Vince McMahon, and people still watched wrestling, right? So I feel like, has Tony Khan done any of the things, right, that are so crazy that the tweets are going to be what get people not to watch wrestling? I don't think so, but very interesting thought to have. I didn't think about it like that.
And, you know, I was thinking too, I was like, you know, what if Tony decides that he doesn't want to tweet this time? Will he have more people that watch? Because they kind of want to see, okay, well, is he going to have, it's weird. Like, it's just a weird time. And I was talking to you, I think, the other day about it. Remember when we were young and not the festival, and we would write to these WWE superstars, their PO boxes at the headquarters. And now it's like, you can literally get on Twitter, you get on Instagram, and you could just send them a message. You could respond to their photo, you could respond to their tweet, and they might respond to you. Things are so different now, and I've talked about this before. The accessibility of wrestlers, sometimes it's a very good thing. Like, you might have an interaction with a wrestler that makes you cry or has you emotional or changes your life. You know what I mean? Or it could be the opposite end of the spectrum. You might be on Twitter and get called a
There's no
pros and cons. Pros and cons. So let's get into merch. If you are new here, Wrestling Winedown does sell merch. Shop.wrestlingwinedownlv.com. I've been getting questions about what is next for the merch. We haven't had our typical merch drops, which are every other Monday. And people are like, what's going on? Where's the merch at? Donde está the merch? Girl, I got you. I'm trying to go Western in this. I love a good cowgirl, cowboy, etc. reference. And I've had people asking me, please make a Hangman shirt. And I'm like, I got you. And I have just really been inspired by like just country in general. I like the cowgirl hats. I've liked the cowgirl hats for a while. The cowgirl boots, just the Western aesthetic. And I'm really excited to kind of push that into the merch store, because I know a lot of the girlies like the Western aesthetic as well. So keep an eye out for that. Definitely excited for that. And then Christmas is right around the corner, the holidays. And I have some stuff that I'm working on that I think a lot of people will be really excited about. So definitely keep an eye out there. We have all of our other collections. Bad Bitches Freddie Kingston, Daniel Garcia, Bad Bitches Love Wrestling, Black Wrestling Queens, the original one. What else do we have on the store? We have Real Wrestling Fan Shit. We have Hot Girls Watch Wrestling. We have so many things for the girlies, by the girlies. When I say for the girlies, it's for everybody, but I have said it before. I started making wrestling merch because I was looking at the merch that these websites were selling and they weren't for me. I want pink, I want purple, I want girly, and that's why I started creating merch. So please enjoy shop.wrestlingwinedownlv.com. We will have something coming up for Black Friday, so if you like savings and you like cute merch, definitely keep an eye out. Thank you, Iridian, so much for joining me here on Wrestling Winedown. Where can the people find you on social media, and where can we find the Fightful Post Show?
Yeah, you can find me at Iridian_Fiero, and definitely follow us over on Rest Friends. We have a wonderful YouTube channel with reactions, interviews, vlogs, all of that good stuff. And make sure that every Saturday after AEW Collision, you head over to Fightful's YouTube channel, where you can find me, Cresta Star, and Riccacino talking about AEW Collision. So you can find me over there.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Wrestling Winedown. You can find all of our other episodes available wherever you listen to your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and iHeartRadio. We are on Twitter and Instagram at WWDCAST. We also have our official merch store, which you can find at shop.wrestlingwinedownlv.com. Let us know what you thought about this episode. What was your favorite part? Until next time, enjoy your wine and, of course, enjoy your wrestling. Cheers!